Hey citizens, my name is Black and welcome to Casablack's Highlights for the week ending July 11th, a weekly series where I comb through the sands of news with a giant pick to needle out only the best bits of news for my viewers. I not only found shit this week, but I think I found some pretty good shit. Let's jump right into the shit and break my record by 500% for using the word shit in a video. The bulk of this week's updates will be highlights from the monthly report. Apologies in advance for this episode looking more like a PowerPoint than an actual video, but with the bulk of the news this week being the monthly report, and with Jared out being molested by fish, this week was light on content, but stellar on footage. But more on that later. For now, let's just get into the monthly report. When I say the bulk of this week's highlights, I do mean like 90%. I will not go through the entire report as it is quite extensive. I will touch on some very cool points of interest, which are also things I actually understand and can sort of mansplain. First up, all things AI. New mocap footage was captured with related teams getting to attend and give feedback directly to the actor, so it was informative and very useful for all. June also saw new patron shop activity, and after seeing some of the new stuff at Orison, it was a nice addition. Although I must say the bartender who cut me off early was a complete buzzkill. In AI combat fairness news, AI learned how to target specific parts of ships, so look out for new reasons to hate Skynet as we come across the equivalent of a little brat pulling the wings off of insects to watch you flounder around helplessly. Also, AI will now be either chatty Cathys or all serious quiet monsters as they dogfight with you. AI also learned how to distinguish if crates are empty and then how to go stack them. Planet art AI pathing was also further worked on, and AI is being taught to use trolleys similar to how players, so expect some to go randomly crash and ragdoll around just like the rest of us. Animation worked on making AI cower in fear when a nutjob pulls out a gun and starts firing. Hopefully the AI paid close attention to the corporate active shooter training videos they were provided with. Hint hint, it's every AI for themselves. Do not stop and help others. At least that's what my training videos taught me at work. Salvage weapon animations were also created, so we're one step closer to some sort of salvaging. In the world of art, 3 armor sets were continued, as well as new backpacks that are coming in 3.15. The concept art team also worked on additional concepts for Pyro, which still tells me Pyro is pretty far off, but maybe not. There might be first stages of Pyro that are close to being ready, and this could be next stage stuff. They really weren't clear on that. The concept artist also explored gameplay interactions with the space whale creature. The All-Stars at Montreal worked to finish the remaining hospital clinics for Grimhex and Area 18's hospital location. They are currently on the gray box phase for those. We learned that we will be getting derelict ship pieces, creating puzzles with loot in them to explore, so that's really crazy exciting. 24 puzzles are their current goal, so that gameplay will be most exciting and will probably also provide some good FPS PvP moments as well. In Colonial Outpost news, the art team went through a final art phase on landing zones and are now moving on to other variations. Jump point clouds are also close to being completed, so good stuff there all around. In ship art news, the team focused on finishing up the Taurus with bug fixes and a general polish pass. 2 Crusader Ares variants, the Ion and Inferno, for a 4th quarter delivery were also worked on. The Aegis Redeemer's interior was worked on with gray box phase ready. Gold standard work continued on the Saber and Retaliator, and the Hercules A2 was readied for release with the kitchen area and 2 large bomb bays added. In the weapons art department, the mining gadget was further worked on and passed on to the animation department, and some new subscriber weapon paint schemes were worked on, as well as a new knife for the PTU. Animation passes for both the standalone Greycat tractor beam and salvage tool began. New size 7 bearing ship weapons, 1 energy and 1 ballistic, were worked on and currently in the gray box phase. The audio team did lots of audio goodness for Orison and worked on the hospital tool sound effects as well as player injury sounds and sounds to be relieved when they are healed. They could have used the mini Reddit groans from May when medical gameplay was pushed back, but I'm no expert. The engine team did so many things I barely understood, but they did something where physics only uses 50% of the memory it did before, so that's good. Gen 12 stuff was further worked on with new pipelines being created, and all rejoiced. Volumetric cloud tech was the order of the day, and lots of work with rendering and adding the options menu setting was done, with more work to be done in the future as the tech is built out more. Basically, a lot of work was done across the board for engine tech, and optimizations on some platforms and services were done with tons more to go. Moving on to the features teams, blood toxicity levels were worked on, so as certain chemicals, whether that be alcohol or the new bespoke drugs coming in, they get too high, it causes certain character effects to happen, impairing that character and doing something graphically or control-wise to make the players have a hard time at piloting, walking, or just plain living. The downstate was also worked on, which I will touch more on in my medical gameplay video coming up in a couple of days. Shameless plug. In the gameplay features department, the player asset manager was given the voted on name of Knickknacks, which is pretty clever. Sorting and filtering and branding was added to the app as well and should be released in the Q3 update along with medical gameplay. As we close in on the 6-minute mark of this segment, balance was also worked on for the Ninetales lockdown, coming soon with 3.14. Loot generation was worked on by the UK team to be delivered in either 3.15 or 3.16. The loot boxes and tables are being worked on to make sure they are properly randomized, so testing continues with that. One of the main hurdles to getting the next system in place is refueling, and that moved into the production phase where multiple teams are now actively working on it, so we can become mobile gas station tycoons for credits. Yay! I think I will call my ship Hurricane Gas Prices. The ship's feature team worked on many things that are coming to 3.14, such as the missile, HUD, and thruster dust features. As that work finished, more of the team moved over to building out jump points. The graphics and lighting teams continued work on Orison, as you can see from this footage. Orison is spectacular, even at nights. The UI team worked on creating the medical gameplay UI screens that we'll be using. The new star map that will connect to the radar screen was also worked on, and in-game functionality for that will be the next phase of this work. The UI team is also thinking about the next iteration of the Mobi-Glass, so hopefully some of the community's feedback will be listened to. Future vehicle HUD concepts were also worked on, as well as new logos for the environments. Speaking of which, I did see the Cousin Crow's future shop entrance on Orison, and it was pretty cool. That was about it for my coverage of the monthly report. I did skip many things, mostly dealing with things already covered here or things well established. But that does not in any way take away from the hard work all of the teams have been doing. It's simply for time purposes. Good job, teams, for June. The July subscriber Flair promotions were shared this week, and I seem to recall saying shit a lot earlier. Well, that is the reaction many on Reddit and in-game seem to have about the Origin 100 series paint jobs that were released, seen pictured here. I actually like paint jobs for ships, and even though I do not own this ship, I would definitely sport that ugly teal one. I'm just not an earth tones kind of guy. The entire freelance series is available as the ship of the month that subscribers get to use, so that is a great opportunity to try out an excellent early hauler and get to try out all of the freelancer variants. Will most certainly make some fall in love with at least one of those ships. Last month's ship of the month, the Carrack, is now available as the special pledge promotion, so jump on that if you have the moolah to drop down. In dev response news, we had a medical gameplay clarification from Dev Richt with CIG concerning ship medical beds. The Carrack in 890J will have Tier 2 medical beds. The Endeavour Hope will have Tier 1 beds, and the Apollo will have access to Tier 1 through Tier 3 beds depending on the customization you choose. The Cutlass Red will have a Tier 3 bed, and also another reminder that when medical gameplay arrives in 3.15, the Cutlass Red will lose that respawn ability at the bed, so do make sure you are ready and aware of that. It's looking more and more like the Apollo ship is the way to go, so my wife will definitely be upgrading her Cutlass Red to that ship during the next ship sale. This week, 314 moved from Evocati and into the PTU Wave 1, which meant that we got inundated with tons of gorgeous footage from Twitter, Reddit, and YouTube. I was busy this week finishing up my final week of my job of over 5 years before moving on to a new prospect next week, so I was not as aware of things as I normally am, but to my pleasant surprise, the PTU dropped and all hell seemed to break loose in terms of awesome footage. I decided that Friday night was the right night for me to get my feet wet and to try to do my very first Twitch livestream. Now, when you think you have everything ready and that your month and a half of preparation was enough to go live, you soon realize just how miserably wrong you were. To begin with, I had a raid within 5 minutes of starting the stream. I was not even loaded into the PTU yet when the floodgates opened with 50 plus people bombarding me, which was cool, exhilarating, and quickly went super downhill. Unfortunately, the resolution I normally play and collect footage at was not working well in the PTU while streaming, so I was looking at like 6 to 20 frames per second. So, since I could barely leave my little green circle hab, I decided that I needed to reduce my resolution, which quickly caused all sorts of issues that required me to leave the stream. I had to reset all of my graphic overlays in OBS and wound up spending an hour fine-tuning everything enough to be able to stream again. I did manage to come back for about an hour and get some decent Orison footage, but even then it was dark and I did not get the full specter and grandeur that is Orison. I did get some cool medical footage that my upcoming medical gameplay fireside chat will benefit from. So ring that bell to get notified if you want to see that video. Regardless, I enjoyed my brief interactions with the Twitch world, and I have to say it was a boost in confidence, and I plan to be back again out this coming week. Thank you to those who followed me in that brief moment, and I look forward to carrying on in the future, and yes, I will be upgrading my setup. Alright, so that's going to do it for this week's Highlights of the Week. I really enjoy covering Star Citizen because even when there's a lack of new video features from those at CIG, we still get some kind of jaw-dropping news or things to do, such as the Wave 1 drop in the PTU, which provided tons of footage opportunities and little sneak peeks. I hope I have brought you the news of the week in an entertaining way, and I further hope you will support my desire to branch out into the Star Citizen universe by subscribing and also checking out my new Twitch channel. I need practice and enjoy talking about the game, so drop on by. In the meantime, citizens, I hope you stay positive, and I'll see you soon. Take care.